It's August 11th, 5 days before the death of Elvis Presley, unfortunately, 17 days before Rutgers' first game of the year on a Thursday evening against the Ohio Bobcats at Shea Stadium. So we're going to preview this game. And for our viewers, we just want to let you know that when the season begins, we're going to be live both before and immediately after every game with commentary, predictions, previews, and ultimately a discussion of the performance after the game. So, the Ohio Bobcats, what do you think about this matchup, Gabe?
They're a very underrated program. A lot of people think that just because they're not Ohio State, then they automatically suck. And that includes Vegas. I mean, we're listed as the 14.5-point favorites per BetMGM. I'm not going to lie. I don't think we win by more than 10 points. I do believe we will win. Ohio State, like I said, they're coming off a great year. They won 7 in a row to end the year to finish 11-3. They haven't had much luck in their recruiting portal, but they have a lot of guys returning. Rutgers got better defensively, more versatile on offense. So I was writing this down, and my prediction is somewhere in the 30 to 21 type of range, 33 to 26, something like that.
Yeah, that's fair. Now, I spent 3 years in the great state of Ohio. I went to law school at Ohio State University from 1998 to 2000, and I remember living in Columbus quite well. And I remember that there are also other schools in Ohio, although when you're at Ohio State, you don't tend to think that there are. They actually have some good programs there. University of Toledo, also Youngstown State, a traditional powerhouse. Cincinnati, and the Ohio Bobcats. The Ohio Bobcats are nothing to sneeze at. Last year, 11-3 record in the MAC. They won the Cure Bowl, defeating Jacksonville State. So let's look at their offense. Offense starts with the enigmatic Parker Navarro.
Yeah.
When I say enigmatic, I mean, look, this Ohio team is something, not to take lightly. They are a good team, and they can pose challenges to Rutgers. On offense, we've got Parker Navarro coming back. Last year, 2,400 yards passing, ran for over 1,000 yards, too.
Yeah. Did you see 18 rushing touchdowns?
Yeah, 18 rushing touchdowns, but he was prone to interceptions. I believe he had 11 interceptions last year. So at the wide receiver spots, Chase Hendricks and Rodney Harris, who had a combined 63 receptions last year, returned for the Bobcats. The big question on the offense is going to be the offensive line. The offensive line needs to be reworked, so we'll see how that plays out, particularly against a Rutgers defensive line that should be really improved and put pressure on the quarterback. On the defensive side, the Ohio Bobcats, nothing to take lightly. Like I said, last year, 9th in the nation in total defense and 4th in the nation in rushing yards allowed per game at 91. Now, where does Ohio, really need to work on? Their defensive front, because they lost most of their players, and one of the players that they lost was Bradley Weaver, who's now a Scarlet Knight. So this is, the first game of the season is really, going to be a tough game, and it's going to be a good barometer of where Rutgers is, particularly because, look, they've got a lot of transfers. So how is this team going to come together? Are they going to be a team, and how are they going to start the season? I'm going to predict a Rutgers victory 31-21.
We think very similarly there, because I said no more than 10 points. You have them at 10 points in terms of a victory. So when I was making this prediction, I took a look at Parker Navarro's quarterback stats, because as a quarterback, you think how good are they at throwing the ball? And I saw mediocrity mixed with a high completing percentage and some decent yards, rating of 142. What completely overshadowed me was the fact that he had 1,000 yards rushing and 18 rushing touchdowns. That is ridiculous. If someone does that in the NFL, it's all time. Granted, I know it's nowhere near the same level of competition, but the fact that you're throwing, you're throwing 11 interceptions, but you're not afraid to run with the ball either. So
Yeah.
it's a dangerous dynamic in terms of how he is as a player. They don't have much of a rushing game, it looks like.
Yeah.
Their number one rusher, C.A. Bangura, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. He had a solid 2023 campaign, 178 attempts for 811 yards, 7 touchdowns, 18 catches for 160 yards and a touchdown, 2 fumbles all year. Last year, he didn't play. It looks like he was injured. He only had 4 attempts for 12 yards. And in terms of their receiving crew, Chase Hendricks, who's their best receiver, he only had 1 touchdown reception. So if your best receiver only has 1 touchdown reception, and that's in his 2 years of playing, because in 2023 he had 11 for 108, no touchdowns, that's saying that we're going to have to contain Mr. Navarro. And that is the key. Can we contain him with our inner 4?
Well, I think that's going to be – that's why I think the first game is going to be a real test for the Scarlet Knights because, Ohio is traditionally, a respectable team. They're in the MAC, but they can compete. And they do have a good defense, and they have a dual-threat quarterback. So what did we talk about on many shows? We talked about the defensive line is going to have speed and size and disrupt the quarterback. Okay, so this is going to be a test for them to see, number one, how those transfers and how the new look for Rutgers plays out and whether they are cohesive as a team and are able to, really shut them down. I think it's going to be a game where I could see Rutgers up about 21-3 at the half, and then I could see Ohio with a strong third quarter, but Rutgers ultimately pulling away with a late touchdown. Couple late touchdowns by Ethan Kaliakmanis. So that's going to be kind of the bellwether about, where is this Rutgers team? And I think what we're going to take away from that game, if I had to predict it, would be there's some really good things, but there's things that need to be worked on.
Yeah, I mean, the only part that kind of scares me outside of Navarro's scrambling ability is the fact that you look at their offense and it's kind of the polar opposite of our defense. They have 9 of their 11 players on offense in their starting projections returning to the team. The only 2 that are transferring are their left guard, Josh Waite, and running back, C.A. Bangura.
Right.
Like I said, Bangura is a complete wild card because he was injured all of last year. We don't know how he's going to perform, especially because of the fact that they already have a running quarterback. Usually, unless you're doing RPO, there's not much success with running backs when they're paired up with a running quarterback in college football.
Yeah, I agree with you. And look, like we've been saying on previous shows, how Rutgers defense goes, so does the team this year. So it's going to be a test for the defense. I also think it's going to be a test for the offense. We've got a great running back room. We've got depth at wide receiver. How's the offensive line going to, hold up against their defensive front? So we'll see if Rutgers can win the physicality game and ultimately cause enough problems for Navarro to force him into turnovers and, disrupt his timing and come out with a victory, which I think they will.
I mean, that's what is key to me is, Navarro, he's going to get his running yards, probably at least 60 of them. He's going to get some passing yards. I'm saying he's probably going to get at least 150 passing yards. He might get 2 touchdowns. Hopefully that's the max. But to me, the key is, are we going to force turnovers against a guy who threw 11 interceptions last year? And if that is the case, then I think that's a great sign for us moving forward. If we can get multiple interceptions off of him, including on a final drive where he has a chance to make it either a game again or he can tie it, he can take the lead. That final drive and another turnover before that, to me, is kind of a sign of where this year could go in terms of the defense.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a bit of a messy game where both sides are going to have turnovers. But I think in the end, Rutgers is just a better team. And I think they come out on top against, a legitimate Ohio team that last year went 11-3, and this year is predicted to also contend for the MAC championship. So It should be an exciting day, August 28th.
Yeah.
We're going to be going live before the game and after the game to really preview and then discuss Rutgers' performance in their opening game of the season. And then heading into the next week against Miami of Ohio, then Norfolk State, and then the all-important game against the Hawkeyes of Iowa.
It's just crazy to me that looking at this Ohio wide receiver room, the top three guys have one combined touchdown reception, and that's from Chase Hendricks.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like Rodney Harris, 23 receptions, 289 receiving yards. Caleb Gossett, he has 16 receptions, 158 yards, no touchdowns. And then, like I said, Chase Hendricks, 40 for 471, one touchdown. And their tight end only has 2 touchdowns. So who the hell was – I mean, look, I'm sure they lost a lot of offensive talent, but it looks like of their starters, a bunch of their starters are ones that are returning. So they're next up in line, it seems.
Yeah, this game is not going to be a blowout, but I think this game is going to be – at times it's going to be close, I think, particularly in the third quarter. But I just think Rutgers' talent, the home field advantage, we come out 1-0.
We just got to do enough on offense. As long as we can do enough, we should win this game. And I don't think that Vegas has it right, though, with us being 14.5-point favorites. I would say like anywhere between like 8.5 and 10.5.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And it's funny because I'm predicting a Rutgers win. I can't predict a New York Yankees win anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, dude, I'm a Mets fan. I think we have 2 of the 3 worst records since like June, the Mets and Yankees combined. Jason, oh wow, what a prediction that is! 41-13. I mean, hey, it's not impossible, but that would be beautiful.
Jason O knows Rutgers football, very smart guy, and I'll tell you, he might be right. The only reason I don't go that far is because I want to see how are the new players, meshing together. Especially after the spring game, in which the defense had some struggles against this, AJ Serace. Let's see, but he might be right.
It's like with the New York Jets, you can't get your hopes up every year and expect things to change because that
Jets fans get their hopes up.
Insanity. Yeah, that would be the definition of insanity.
The Jets were good. Weren't the Jets good under Bill Parcells?
They were good under Parcells. They were decent under Rex Ryan, some of our best years in recent history.
Who is the coach now for the Jets?
Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator for the Lions. Which, hey, man,
so why? I have no reason to talk.
Austin says 31-17 Rutgers. That seems within reason. Not saying this won't happen. I'm just surprised by the usually blowouts. Like you can predict a blowout, but no one actually says the score will be a blowout. Like all the experts, like they'll be like, "Oh, it's like 38-21, like kind of a blowout," but they'll never actually outright say 41-13.
The only way we run into trouble is if Navarro, runs for 150 yards, and it really keeps us off balance. But
worst case scenario, Navarro runs for 150, throws for 250, gets 2 touchdowns passing, 2 touchdowns rushing.